Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, lovely people. It's great to see all of you here in the studio. It's lovely to know whoever is also online. Hi, this is the Times Talk Show, and once again, you're welcome. This is the fourth episode. It's been a long journey, but it's lovely to have you all here to stick with us all this while. Thank you so much. My name is Jacqueline Sarkodie, and I'm your host for today. Before we introduce our panel, today we have a hope hack. We came with a full battalion, but we always like to start with an icebreaker. We just want to get to know our audience, we want to get to know our panel. So all of us here, let's grab our phones, go to your camera settings. You see that QR code there? Let's scan it. We just want to warm up the room a little bit to warm the conversation as we start. Do you all have access to it?
Yep.
Wonderful. So shall we begin? Our icebreakers are simple questions for us to have an idea of what conversation you're going to have. So the first one, let's start. When you were a child, what industry did you want to work in? Has it changed, and how? I mean, we were told a lot of interesting things. We knew lots of children wanted to be doctors, wanted to be pilots. I used to say I wanted to be a pilot or a journalist. I said a lot of things growing up. But what industry or what job did you think you wanted to do? And has that industry changed? How has it changed? Clock is ticking. Bank. Oh, okay. Yes, it has changed. How has it changed? Give us some more context. How has the banking industry changed from what you knew it to be and what it is now? Oh, yes, for sure. You wanted to be a medical doctor. But your dad sent you to the army and you ran away. But how has the industry changed? We want to hear what your opinion of the change is. How has it changed so far? Architecture. I barely hear this. I didn't know lots of children wanted to be architects. It has changed due to job opportunities in the country. There are no jobs for architects? Okay. You wanted to be a surgeon because you liked the idea of healing people. But currently you're into advertising, tech, and education. I think I know who sends this. Okay, so without wasting time, let's go to the next question. If you could instantly master any skill, what would you choose? We want to understand how you're preparing. Any skill at all. Remember, I'm not saying superpowers. Communication. Cooking. Okay. If you could master any skill, videography. Public speaking, so tied to communication. So I'm just curious. Are you interested in learning these skills because you believe that there are prospects for it in the future? Or is the thing now? Is it making more money now? Is it a place of interest for you? Why are you in? How to be a politician? AI, for sure. Is it too late to learn these skills? Or not at all, right? Feasibility. Okay. How to be a politician. Interesting. Next question. Which of these sectors do you believe will create the most opportunities in the next 10 years? Green and renewable energy, health and biotechnology, digital and technology. That's AI, data, fintech, cybersecurity, automation. The creative industry, so media, design, culture, entertainment. Logistics and supply chain. or any other? Let me hear your thoughts. Renewable energy seems to be winning. Do we all agree?
No.
Okay, digital and tech, AI. There. Not the creative industry? Logistics? No? Interesting. Other is coming to the top. Who's pushing other? Okay, we move on to the next one. Okay, so now let's have a quick reality check. What changes in the world of work directly affects your career right now, and how are you responding? I work in the knowledge industry, meaning lots of writing, analysis, and brain work. In the past, it took a lot of time to produce a piece, but now AI makes it very easy for all of us. The amount of time, quite less, for sure. But is this a positive for your career? Is this something to be concerned about? Do you feel like you're becoming redundant? Technological transformation, making information widely available. So we're all hearing tech then. So tech is the main disruption. AI is directly affecting the world of accounting. The reason being the efficiency and speed at which work is being done, pushing us to evolve into more skill-driven areas. So I'm hearing lots of, content. Okay, we'll come back to all this. The last says ourselves. We are our own disruption. Okay, everything can work. Anything can fail. Focus and alignment to excel at a chosen skill is what's needed to thrive. That gives us a human element. Okay, we'll come back to all that. The next question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how prepared do you feel with the skills needed for the future of work? Do you feel lost? I mean, the future should even come in. You're still figuring out today. Or you're barely keeping up. Or you feel future ready. On a scale of 1 to 10. Barely keeping up. It's very inspiring to know that some people feel very ready. They must be AI gurus. I think I want to put some faces to the readiness. Who are those who feel very ready? Encourage some of us. Very ready. That means that you expect that in the next 10 years, you'll be sought after. You will not only survive, but you will thrive with the skills that you're currently gathering. Who are those who are barely keeping up? That means that you are catching on here and there. You know what there is, what is to come, and you're taking some steps. Correct?
Yeah.
Those who are lost. What is the future? You don't even want to hear it. I mean, let's figure out today. How are we talking about tomorrow when we haven't even figured out today? And I believe that self-awareness is a powerful tool to say, I think I don't have what it takes, but I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to listen, open my mind, and hear what there is. And that's what we need more people like that. Because we need to let you understand that there is a lot more to do, and you accept that you have to do it. But if you're in self-denial, you think you're ready. You think you are employable. Your CV comes in front of some employers, and then you're asking, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's the reaction most people get. But you would never get to know, unfortunately. You always get automated rejections. Why? Meanwhile, some companies are poaching others. Have you asked yourself why? We'll come back to that. Next question. I hope this is the last one. Which of your current skills do you believe will still matter in 2035? And which one would no longer be useful? What you have gathered, whether in school, whilst working, what would matter and what would no longer be useful in the next 10 years? Yeah. I see some people are thinking, they are entering different rooms. So this is not aspirational. This is what you currently have. We are doing an audit of our skill sets. Yeah. Any answers? Clock is ticking. Anyone willing to share? Mm-hmm. Okay. Someone says, videography will be useful. I think I'll throw away reading. So in that case, would you learn by only listening or watching? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Someone says, my teaching and critical thinking skills will still be relevant. I know who sends this. Do we see where AI can take over teaching? We'll come back to that. If you had to mention only one skill that will keep you future ready for your career, what will it be? Just one. Okay. Financial skills? So I'm seeing agility, communication, critical thinking, financial skills, social skills, entrepreneurial skills. So I'm hearing all the human skills. Meanwhile, our initial slide, we foresaw that tech skills would be what would keep us future ready. Are we aligning? Do we know what would actually keep us future ready? Okay, now shall we? Hello, everyone. Good afternoon once again. We hope that the initial conversation has kickstarted your introspection. We wanted you to start asking yourself some questions, delve into your thoughts, and then ask all the hard questions. This is a Times Talk show, a conversation where we talk about the future of work, in a sense that you assess your own skills, you assess your career path and the decisions that you're making, and align it with what's to come. What you know is to come and what you don't even know is to come. How do you prepare in a way that makes you relevant all through your career journey? We want to make sure that you are informed, you are making the best decisions based on realities. My name is Jacqueline Sarkodie, and I'll be your host for today. So we would introduce our panel. I normally like to let my panel introduce themselves so they give us who they want us to know. So I'll start from my immediate right. Hello.
Hi, hello.
Please.
My name is Kwame Nyaswame. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Kwame Nyaswame. I wear many hats. So I'm into advertising proper. So marketing, communications, PR. Found myself in education. Interesting. When it comes to education, I lead the Ghana EdTech Alliance. So Ghana Education Technology Alliance. Which is basically an association of education technology startups and companies in Ghana. I also do a bit of coaching as well. So I'm a soft skills and image consultant. So I do trainings in soft skills, personal branding, professional image building. Yeah, pretty much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kwame. It's nice to have you here. Doc.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. The level of introduction Kwame gave about himself, I'm very excited about that. Seeing people who are very versatile with different, yeah. Okay, so I'm Patience MFA Janja Uklu. I'm a classroom teacher. I teach with the University of Ghana, the Department of Information Studies. My primary profession is that I'm a librarian. Yes. And that's what I teach. And we all know that librarianship has transformed, yes, into technology and giving of lifelong skills to make people lifelong learners. So by that, I mentor young people on how to become media and information literate, to be able to be responsible users of technology, all aspects of technology that's around us with AI. The moderator asked a question with the availability of AI, will teachers still be necessary in the next few years? And my answer to that is yes, not because I'm a lecturer or a teacher, but that is the reality. We will always need people to mentor, not with technical content, but how to be able to use whatever content you have gained responsibly. So yes, I mentor young people in guiding them on how to find their career path. And I belong to the school of thought that believes that there is no single level of profession, or I don't want to. I want to say it in a way that will not undermine anybody's profession. But for me, every aspect of our lives is very, very important. One can be a doctor, one can be a nurse, another can be a cleaner. If you're a cleaner, the way you clean is what will make your services very much needed. So for me, every aspect of life is very, very important because the world is not a straightforward path. There are different parts. It's like a big puzzle. We need different parts to fit in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mefa.
Yes, thank you, everyone. I'm Joseph Beku. I'm the founder and lead of Fixis Technologies Limited, which is a software development company here in Accra, Ghana. I'm also into research and consulting, focusing on emerging technologies primarily. I'm currently working with the African Union on artificial intelligence continental strategy. I find myself at the intersection of technology, humanity, building stuff and watching how it works is a very fascinating space to be in. And I'm always very excited to talk about the work that I do, to share my insights on how it's affecting our societies and our communities, and to also hear what you have to say about that. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much. So you have an idea of the panel that we have, and all through our episodes, I always ask this interesting question. We go all the way back to when we were younger, and we have seen from our icebreaker, lots of young people would tell you when they were growing up, they wanted to be doctors, lawyers. Maybe that's what we wanted, probably, or that's what we were told. I wanted to be a doctor because my dad was. And I also had an idea that it was the bright students who were becoming doctors. And we had a hierarchy. So if you don't do science, you have a hierarchy in your mind. Then you see other options like pharmacy, architecture, because you're now thinking of what other professions can I have with, say, science. Now, looking at what we knew work to be at that young age, as such a young mind, we had that idea based on little information. It's because of what we were told, what we saw. Did we really get it right into choosing what we thought a career was? And growing into it now, what has changed? Have we grown into a different world of work? from what we knew back then? I'll start with Joe, since you're nodding.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, from what we hear, from who we want to be, I think it all collides at a point that gives us a perception of ourselves, of who we are. I'll split this from the very intrinsic point of our being ourselves. I wanted to be a medical doctor, mainly because I had a cat and the cat died. So I was like, oh, how can I be a doctor and actually save my cat? So I was so passionate. I was a good science student and all that. So moving forward through school, I was like, no, go and do business because your sisters are doing business good. After doing business, I never liked it, moved on to, okay, now go to the army. Like, no, I don't like the army. So it was a series of dots that connected from my personal introspective points of humanity that led me to how do I actually fill voids in communities or societies or my own personal life using my own skills, to actually make impact. So I moved on from there to discover tech. So at the time, Facebook and all that, we are using that. So how do I actually use these tools I have in my hands to solve a problem? That's what spiked my interest in tech. And it always falls back on my outlook on trying to be a better human and solve problems with the tools that I have in my hand. That's how I got into my career. And we are here now.
But Dr. Mefa, do you think that we were sold a lie? Because I think most parents will tell you that they wanted their children to be doctors, lawyers, architects. Were we sold a lie?
Surely, yes. And if you permit me, I think that's one of the greatest challenge of the African continent, and especially Ghana, where majority of people in the society perceive career as just a limited group of professional activities that people can engage in and become successful. We've mentioned a few: doctors, lawyers. Jacqueline was good enough to even add architects. They were actually not very much known of. How many of us in Africa start putting up a building and we consult an architect? No, we don't really know about them. Yeah. So that is a major challenge we have in Africa, and it is still coming down in the 21st century, where we are even saying that some subjects in schools should be very much emphasized than the others. So we see that fields like theater, to mention just a few, dressmaking. How many people amongst us will want their children to become traditional dressmakers? Now we've modernized it into fashion designers, and they are making it big time. So yes, truthfully, we were not treated fairly. So if you didn't get admission to the medical school, you become so miserable your first few years in the university. I remember my own story when I didn't make it to the University of Ghana Business School because I read business. And, we're told that if you're a good student, that is when you should get into the business school, you become a banker or a chartered accountant. We didn't even know of we didn't even know that people study insurance. We didn't know of other options. So the amount of knowledge we had at that time was very much limited. But today, if you ask me, with the kind of knowledge I have, I'd already said it, every field is very necessary. Here in this room, let's look at what our photographers are doing. And I want to believe they are making it. So it's about what you want to do and adapting it with the technology that is available to make it more relevant. So surely our generation, our parents didn't treat us fairly, not only our parents, but the system. But now that we have much more knowledge, we should expose everybody that the world is very big. Don't limit yourself. Let's see what bead making is doing in Ghana now. Can we expand on it to export it? Let's see what chefs are doing in Ghana now. a number of our traditional meals are going extinct because nobody has documented them. If we have world-class chefs in Ghana who are documenting our traditional meals, you see how much their cookbooks will cost. They will, what's the name, preview a TV program, and the number of viewership they will get will bring in a lot of money into our country. So we shouldn't just limit ourselves to the traditional professional fields that we know about. And before I drop the microphone on this, now people are doing blended skills. So you can be a doctor and a footballer. You can be a lawyer and an HR personnel. Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Rufa, you have actually dovetailed into my next question, which I'll throw to you. I think that we are repeating history. What our parents told to us, which at the time I think it was valid, because they believed that those industries were the lucrative ones, and every parent would want to secure the future of their children. Now we are doing the same thing with our children. We're telling them AI is the way to go. Tech, digital. Are we not repeating the same mistakes that our parents made?
Interesting. Let me take it from. Let me just piggyback a little of what MFA said. My route was very different. I was, don't let the face deceive you. I was a talkative in class. They used to call my mom to school every time, and so it was in a sense you have to be a lawyer because you like talking, right? So I actually began. I have a degree in law. I don't say that a lot. And that light bulb moment for me was when I had an internship in a law firm. And after that, I was like, no, I'm not doing this. Because the senior lawyer at the time was dealing in land law, and that exposed me to what the law profession was about. I mean, if you love it, please do it. But it just wasn't for me. It was very monotonous. It was too much. You are pretty much dealing with other people's problems, So then I branched into advertising, and it's been fantastic since. Gotten into education, then technology as well. So my thing was, how do we leverage on technology to improve education as we know it, right? So a lot of us know that, Charlie, the way we deliver on education on the continent is very, I can pull my hair, but it's something else. So I've always been excited about how we can leverage on technology to improve education as we know it. To your question, I would say that I'll take a divergence view. I've been in a lot of spaces, to where I can confidently say that these AI conversations we're having, these tech conversations we're having, they're happening in small rooms. You'd be surprised, because I went for one event, an education event. I met this girl who just recently graduated from university, and we're talking about, we're just having a conversation, and then I mentioned LinkedIn. She didn't know LinkedIn from University of Ghana, and then I spoke about ChatGPT. She said she's heard of it, but she hasn't used it yet, so that makes you realize that, the way you think a lot of conversations are mainstream, they are not at all. But fundamentally, the thing we need to focus on is that education as you know it is supposed to equip you with, the knowledge, the wisdom, the skills, to, in a sense, for you to become a holistic human being that is going to bring a certain value to the marketplace, right? So that's where I want to, in a sense, start from. If that's what education is supposed to do, when we look at Ghana and we look on the continent, are we living up to that? Are we producing anything, right? We don't. When it comes to food sovereignty, we don't have food sovereignty. We are importing tomatoes, ginger, and all of those things from elsewhere. Kivo Gari, Kivo Pepe, it's not Ghanaian. Just so you know, it's not Ghanaian. You're seeing a lot of the malls around China Mall. It's China Mall for a reason. It's not Accra Mall. It's China Mall. There's so much happening around that suggests that the sort of education that we are receiving, which is supposed to birth a generation of doers, builders, right? People who are bringing something to the table in terms of value, negligible. It's not there. We just have to be honest with ourselves, right? If you look at all of the apps that we have on our phone, it wasn't Guardian who created it. So now it goes back to the question, with the education that you're receiving, what are you bringing to the table in terms of value to the marketplace? That's a fundamental question we need to ask. And so specifically with what you touched on, technology and now emerging technology, which includes AI, please jump on it. I mean, if you have the opportunity to be here, I would say that if you didn't know about it, now you've heard about it. Now you have the opportunity to be able to go and engage and find out more about what this artificial intelligence is and what it could potentially do, i.e. adding value to yourself to be able to bring that value to the marketplace, because the marketplace is always looking for value, right? If you're looking to prepare jollof rice, you're looking for the best tomatoes possible. If you're looking to prepare a salad, you're looking for the best lettuce possible, right? So when it comes to human beings, it's like, what value do you bring to the marketplace for me to be able to say, I'm picking A, B, C, D to work on this project? If you do not have any value, we can't work with you. You know, so that's why I'll drop it.
I just find it to be very interesting that having a conversation on industries and what the emerging trends could look like. And I'm hearing value. So is it tied to the industry or is tied to us? And what our mindset of creating value to the marketplace is? Because then it supposes that it's not about any thriving industry then. It could be any industry. Will I be right to say that, Joe?
Well, I'll say talking about value is a two-way street where you are looking at the perception of the employer, of the skill that the employee is bringing to the table, and the perception of the employee they have of themselves, of what they can actually pull from within to take to the table. Now, for most young people, performance or skill appraisal is not even about ticking boxes anymore. It's about being accepted. So I move again into the intrinsic part of value, the intrinsic part of self, which directly affects your skills and everything you can take out there. I've noticed that when most young graphic designers are working, they actually do screen recording and they post it on LinkedIn. You know, they do it on YouTube. What are they looking for? They are looking for likes. They are looking for acceptance. You know, photographers back in the day, they take pictures, they print it, and they bring it to your house and you pay the money. Now they go and do random shoots. They put it on social media, and the more likes the guy has, you know, Charlie, the more they are moving. You know, the waves. So then, now the employee too sits back and says, these guys, this is what I have. These are the people who can work for me. How am I able to get what I want from them without necessarily burning them out or drilling them too hard? Then it comes to look at the employer's values, you know, code of ethics, company culture. So it measures what the employee or the young person is getting, both in qualitative and quantitative terms, and what the employer too is seeking, both in qualitative and quantitative terms. These two come together to give a whole foresight of the future of work in Africa, where you are looking at young people and you are looking at employees, you are looking at expectations, you are looking at value appropriation, to actually create a system that is constantly being dynamic. I don't even want to bring technology into the space because it makes it also much more disruptive. But just the base of us getting together as a people and working is extremely dynamic these days, where the young person needs to be very intentional about, even there are young people now in modern work culture, they need a strict, they have to work remote for certain days. If you don't give them remote and you decide to make them work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. You bear them out and you see performance, because on those 3 days, they want to try something, or maybe sell sneakers. Maybe just listen to music or watch movies or do something that they love. And that's the modern work culture that we are facing. So value appropriation is very important on both sides of workers' perspective and the employer's perspective.
To add something.
Right.
I think a context I want to add to what my colleague has said is understanding where you are. So I'm fortunate to be in certain circles where we're always reminded of the fact that Ghana is a developing country, Africa is a developing continent, right? And the person or the group of people that you are waiting for to help build Ghana and the continent is the people sitting here, right? And I think that's a context that a lot of us have forgotten. So all of the school you are attending, all of the YouTube you are sitting on to learn whatever it is, the apprenticeships that you go for, etc., it's supposed to put you in a position where you are contributing to the building of the country that we want, right? So if you see debt outside and all of the things that we complain about, there is an opportunity in there for us to fix. And so I like what you said about, us coming together. I think that's the thing that's missing. A lot of us now, unfortunately, are looking very inward. So you are going to school to be able to get that certificate to look out for yourself, right? And even when it comes to even going to school, you're going to school so you come out to work for somebody. But there are so many problems around. Like there's so much opportunity. There has to be a shift in the way we think about the problems, right? Something I typically see when I speak to young people, right, is of all the places we could have been born, all the places, so think about it for a second, guys. All the places, they chose Ghana. They chose Ghana and they chose this continent. All the places. But the thing I've come to realize is the fact that I believe the Creator puts his best soldiers in the most difficult terrain because he knows they can make a difference. Right? If you don't believe in God, whatever it is, but whoever put you here, I'm sure he had a plan. You understand? But it seems we've forgotten we are the soldiers on the ground who are supposed to converge, who are supposed to strategize, who are supposed to innovate, who are supposed to be critical thinkers, right? In solving the problems that we see around us. It seems we are waiting for somebody else to come and solve the problems for us. And we are just here, we are just waiting. So I think one line I want us to, if you forget everything else, is the fact that Ghana is a developing country, Africa is a developing continent, and there is so much opportunity, guys. If you go to the airport, you are seeing a lot of Chinese coming in. You are seeing a lot of Lebanese coming in. You are seeing a lot of Indians coming in. Now, presidents went to Japan and Singapore, right? They are also coming in, right? Everybody is seeing opportunity where you are, this geographical location that everybody seems to want to run away from. But other people are seeing the opportunity here. So think ownership. Right? So beyond careers working for somebody, think big. What can I do that is going to shape the way Africa does things? Whether how we live, how we work, how we love, how we die, how we play. Think around those and start it. Right? One of the reasons I actually decided to come for this program was you. Starting is where everything is at. No matter the hurdles, etc., you start. Now you have how many people in this room? And now you have us. Next thing is going to be a big community, like you said.
Amen.
So that responsibility to building the country that we want, to building the continents that we want, lies on us, not anybody else. Thank you.
Please. We're actually very honored to have all of you. I can't say that loud enough. So I think I want to throw this to everyone. We have heard a lot about, creating value, being a person of value, and thinking of the marketplace as where you can yourself bring change. But I think we would all agree that nobody wants to waste their time. Do we have a sense of some industries are not worth trying for because they are probably slowly becoming redundant? And I'll give some context. I'm amazed how, Dr. Mefa, you as a librarian are now lecturing in the university in IT. I don't think any young person can trace that career path. But then I don't believe many young people to go to school and study to become librarians. So, back to the question. Do we find any industry whatsoever to be losing its relevance? And is that a reality or is that perception? You first, then the rest of the audience can go.
Okay, I think that's a very good example. And again, I would like to answer the question by putting it in the context of us as Ghanaians and Africans in general. It is our mindset. Because again, the example of librarianship. When I got to University of Ghana campus, I was offered at time we were given 4 courses. And on it was information studies, archaeology, history, and religions. I looked at all these courses. I said, oh, history, I didn't really like history. So I dropped history the very first year. Then second year, I dropped archaeology because I didn't understand the essence of studying archaeology. Again, because I was a Ghanaian. Number 2, then I said, oh, let me continue with information studies because of the word information in there. But that was when the department had just transitioned from library and archival studies to information studies because everybody felt like the name library and archival studies was not catchy enough. But again, it is because of our mindset. Today, out of all my colleagues that I came from secondary school, I want to believe I'm one of the few up there. You know, on campus, people will say, which course are you reading? Information, the people they used to call library studies. But even here in Ghana, when it comes to the academic community, librarians are one of the well-paid people. Librarians are paid the same amount of money as academic lecturers. So if I stop work today and I decide to go and work at the University of Ghana library, BAM library, I'll even collect more money because I'll become a position holder and the government will pay me responsibility allowance, possibly twice what I'm receiving now. All over the world, when you go to UK, US, librarians are treated like academic staff because they generate a lot of research. We keep research documents, a lot of things. I don't want to go into that. But that again should tell us how narrow-minded we are when it comes to choosing career path. And again, Jacqueline asked a question about some fields we think are no longer relevant. Another steady field I can use as an example is philosophy. Again, when I got to university, a lot of people were shying away from philosophy. But everybody to AI today will tell us the foundation of artificial intelligence is philosophy. One of my colleagues on UG campus got a very big grant recently from the philosophy department. One of the highest you can ever get from anywhere because of the field of artificial intelligence. So for me, it is just about knowing the value of what you want to do and doing it very well and creating value for it, like my 2 colleagues have already said. I will keep saying it. For me, no field is irrelevant. It is about how you create value out of what you are, doing. Who said someone will come and set up a library called E-Anansi? And are we not here today? Yes, using the space. So that alone should tell you how librarianship has transformed. It is no longer about physical wall. It's about teaching people skills. As I said earlier, giving them lifelong learning skills. And librarianship is at the core of this. So for me, that alone is a lesson that no field is irrelevant. And again, we are hyping AI. Look, recently there was a news item on CNN that programmers are now afraid AI is coming to take their job. Not any other field of work or programmers. that we know they are one of the people who are really being sought after, they are even now worried that because AI can generate codes easily, traditional programmers are going to lose their job. So it's just about learning what you are doing and doing it with the very latest technology and creating value out of it and making yourself relevant. And again, like my colleague said, put it in the context of Africa. We are to solve our own problems. There's so much resource around us. In my field, just going around collecting information about who we are is a lot of data. And to put it in context, with the AI that we are talking about, research has shown that AI is actually going to create a divide for us as Africans or as people from a developing nation perspective, because the information that is being fed into the AI is less African. So if we say AI is going to teach us in the future, it is going to teach us without taking our culture into context. So if we want the AIs to know us for who we are, then we better start documenting ourselves and documenting ourselves very well. Every aspect of our lives, naming ceremony, like we said, from birth through toddler stage play. How many of our plays are online? Recently, children were supposed to perform a traditional dance in their school, and all of us parents were just running us because we don't know. But if you tell us to give them the latest board game, you should name the latest games on their smart devices, we can. But they don't know about traditional games. They don't know about our traditional songs. Are we documenting these things and digitizing them? So that is a field. And just something to tease us. You can start going into the archives, documenting or getting the foundational information about political parties in Ghana. Create a blog out of it. Give us evidence of where you got that information from. Right. Who were the first people to attend their first rallies or congress or whatever? And then that would tell us the foundational members of the political party. Only a few names are being mentioned day in and day out. But when you get into their documents, there are people who made a lot of sacrifices. These are things that they don't want us to know. Some may even be your own grandparents. So you see, there's a lot around us as Africans that we don't know about. So let's dip in there and start documenting these things. It's one of the fields that can fetch us a lot of, not money as in physical money,
relevant,
but relevance and make our content very relevant to people. Thank you.
Thank you. So to all of us, I mean, we want to understand what your thoughts on the industries are. Do you believe that there are some pathways that are becoming redundant, that are losing its relevance? Yes, I see a hand there.
I do believe some career paths are becoming redundant, but I don't think they should be allowed to, because I think it's we as a people are allowing them to become that way. And I agree with what our panelists said. We require a mindset shift, and not in like an entire overhaul of our educational sector, because our mindset is what we build through our experiences, through growing up, what we are taught in school. And so the reason why, when she was in university, some people were shying away from certain courses because of the mindset that they built over the years. And so I think we need to overhaul our entire educational system, and right from the ground up, we teach them about all these. We teach them that every field you want to go into is relevant. It's not just these specific fields. Because when you look at all the great scientists, and unfortunately there are not a lot of African names in there, but a lot of them weren't just interested in one field. Some of them were interested in philosophy, some of them were interested in music, and it affected what they made that got them their big names. So I think even though some fields are becoming redundant, we should try as much as possible to stop them from becoming that way.
But can you mention a few? I want to have, put some names on the fields.
Like she said, right now you barely hear, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say, I want to become a librarian, which is very weird. Because, we have a very horrible reading culture in Ghana.
Right.
A lot of people are not interested in reading. and even people that do literature in school, it's taught in a way that is like it becomes hectic.
Yeah.
So because of that, they're only doing it to pass the exams, and once they're done, they're done. You don't want to pick up a book again, which is very sad. But being a librarian, being into reading, is very important for keeping information, the archives, history. History is very important. But you don't find a lot of people wanting to be archaeologists. But we have a very rich culture, not just in Ghana, but in Africa. But a lot of us don't know most of our history. Most of the history we know starts from colonization. What about before? So there's a lot of fields like that. She mentioned sometimes there are things that are extinct. We don't have anyone, archiving these foods or even going to the villages to like learn these and then bring them back and then expose it to the world. So I think, yeah.
Do we agree?
I remember when I was going to high school, I wanted to do business because I wanted to be an accountant. That was back then. I remember a gentleman looked at me and told me that when I go to do accounting, and that in a few years there will be no more accountants available. And looking back now, I realized that the problem was not even with what he said, but then with the information available. Because from attending conferences and programs like this, I realized that it comes down to your ability to bring value to the table. Because now, with the field of accounting, we're looking at green computing. We're looking at things that, it's every sector I believe is evolving. I feel like it comes down to your ability to evolve with the change as well. So what skills are you acquiring that particular sector you're in would require or need? And I also believe that it comes down to limiting beliefs and limiting mindset. Most people feel like, okay, per statistics or per people around me, they're saying that, let's look at agriculture for instance, that there's not much money in agri. But if you're thinking large scale, like being able to export your goods beyond the Ghanaian sector, there's a lot of money inside. I'm surprised Kibo is not in Ghana. But then now again, I feel like it comes down to surrounding yourself with people that are able to think outside of the box. So I believe every single sector has the potential to develop and evolve based on the right level of education available and the right mindset and perspectives and also the right value.
Thank you. Kwame.
I think I just wanted to say quickly that things are changing. Things have been changing since. It's always the case that there will be a time where things that were popular would fade off and new things will come in. So I'm looking at PAs, for example. Personal assistants are going to go away. Now we are talking about agentic AI. It's going to fizzle out. Customer service people, it's going to go away. This is not to spread doom or anything, but it is going to go away. Tellers, for example, bank tellers, for example, is going to go away. It's just a matter of time. Maybe it might not happen in Ghana or on the continent very quickly, but it is going to happen. There's so many things that are very monotonous, things that, you have to move one thing from here to here. Look at what's happening with Amazon, for example, their warehouses. Their employees used to go on strike saying that they wanted to have unions, etc. They've put in robots. So now you order something, the robot comes, picks the things, that delivery, we are gone. So and I like the point you made. I like the points very much. Innovation essentially connotes that we are coming up with ideas as to how we've done certain things in a certain period, but make it better. Do you understand? That's the whole idea of innovation, right? How do we make something better? How do we improve it? How do we make it more efficient? How do we roll out more effectively, right? So that's where the thinking for me should be, right? And I can't stress this bit enough. That always put it in context, right? That there's so much opportunity that we have in the country. There are so many problems, but inherent in those problems are opportunities, right? And there was this line I heard about the fact that Africans don't like reading. So if you want to hide knowledge from a black man, put it in a book. I heard something recently that, in a sense, spoke to the power of narratives, right? So where did that come from? Has anybody asked where that came from? Because Africans have always been big on oral communication, right? We had our own way of recording stuff, right? We wrote down things, we scribbled on walls, we scribbled on all of those things. But we found a way to pass information from one generation to the other, right? But then the point I want to make essentially is that I want you to be able to challenge those things that you've heard, right? Those reports that you've heard. There's one that is floating around and I don't know, it rubs me off a certain way, where they are saying that I think in about 2050, 1 in 5 people, they are going to be Africans. Well, I guess it's based on data. And so they are saying that there's going to be a youth bulge in Africa, right? Meaning that we are going to have a large chunk of youth concentrated on the continent. Meaning that, so you see, it's always something that has been established. And so we need to do this. If you pay attention, right? So we had Millennium Goals. I don't know how many of you are old enough. We had Millennium Goals. Now they are going to SDGs. They are turning into something else. By 2030, it's going to change into something else. The point is, it's like we are not part of the conversation. People plan things elsewhere and then they push it on you and say, oh, this is where the world is going. But is the world really going there?
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing I want us to challenge a bit, right? So all of the statistics that you hear, the research that you hear from elsewhere about where you live, I need you to be able to pause, sit down, and challenge it a bit, right? Who is pushing this communication? Bill Gates is saying that the world is overpopulated. Where is overpopulated? You know, I think about that a lot of the time, you know, and it's like Africans tend to just accept things, right? You remember, I don't know if you guys remember just because I've seen my friend's hair, the Rastafarian guy who was not admitted into, they've told you that your hair has to be a certain way. Right? So you are a group of people, you don't like yourself, you don't like your skin, you don't like your names, you don't like your hair, you don't like your food. You don't like how you look. You don't like anything about you. Let's start from there. I need us to start from there. You know, I really do need us to start from there because a lot of the things that have become the norm is because we are not challenging it. You know, I like the bit about research, collecting data and all of those things. They're collecting data on us now through cookies, through algorithms, etc. And every time you go on social media, somebody is tracking your usage, seeing what you like, gathering that specific data on you. And then they know the data, they know the contents that they are going to share continuously. So in a sense, you live in a bubble. There's a lot of deep thinking we need to do collectively as a people, right? So that's why I need us to start thinking about it like that and understand that, like I said earlier, the sort of country and the sort of continents that we need to build, the heroes that we are waiting for that to happen is you and I.
Now I'm seeing hands. Yes.
Thank you so much. I have a question.
Right.
So approximately, Africa has about 60% of the world's natural resources. Yeah, I don't think we are the richest continent. Coming down to what you said about we being the source of change we want to see, I always ask myself, do we want the change as bad as we say we do? The reason being that we hear this all the time.
Right.
Africans and our food and our hair and everything, but then I don't really see other people actually stepping up to take initiatives. And the few that do, Kwame Nkrumah, for example, Gaddafi, for example, we see people turning the narrative and stopping their change abruptly. The question becomes, I stand to be corrected, but it's looking like we are our own enemies. Because we'll start something, but then if we flip the switch, right, if Africa becomes as successful as we're supposed to be, I stand to be corrected again, but I feel like we'll dominate a lot of things. And let's even take France, for example. I think, was it Burkina Faso's president came out to say that they're cutting France from doing so many things. The backlash was insane. But that's the right thing to do. But then how many leaders, how many people will be strong or firm or confident enough to say that we are Africans, we'll take our own food, take everything you basically just said. So my question becomes, how do we start a ripple effect that isn't abruptly cut? And how do we change the mindset of people who don't even want to see the change to begin with? And how do we build legacies and start to change narratives such that it's a perpetual change?
That's your homework.
Yeah.
Yeah, legit your homework. You know, and yes, please.
I'm really excited about the conversation, seeing young people talk about how we can make it ourselves. One thing I didn't mention when I introduced myself is that I serve as an expert member of UNESCO Expert Hub on Memory of the World in Africa. So you can just Google UNESCO's Memory of the World and see. It is so sad that Africa is the richest country in terms of what we call documentary heritage. You know, civilization started from the African continent, but
Right.
civilization started from the African continent. The first ever university was on the African continent, but we currently contribute less than 5% to the world's documentary heritage. So we are not only financially poor, we are not only economically poor, we are information poor.
AI is not going to change anything. Nothing is going anywhere. People are not going to lose their jobs unless they decide not to stay in the curve. Let me give a typical example. When was the last time you saw a horse on the street? Well,
Labadi.
it's been a while. It's only Labadi. But believe me, there are industries making billions of dollars from owning ranches and owning horses.
Right.
There are people who have very lucrative jobs from taking care of horses. So what do you want to be and where do you want to find yourself? That's the main thing. Well, maybe cars were invented 100 or 200 years ago, but then there are still people who desire or have the need for passion, these horses. So it depends on where you want to find yourself. Talking about industries fading out, industries don't actually fade out. Industries rather evolve from one point to another.
Yeah.
Now, smartwatches seems to be the order of the day, but Rolex is still selling, and they are making billions of dollars. Aside Rolex, the individual watchmakers who have specialized in micro engineering that are building micro engines for watches, and they are making so much money. So it's an issue of perspective and the perception you have of yourself and how sharp you want to have your skills. Horseshoes used to be made of iron. People have innovated iron horseshoes into plastic horseshoes that you can actually take it off the horses and put it back on, and they are making millions of money. Everything that seems to be fading has actually been innovated again. There are people who are still very excited about turning very old classic cars into modern cars by putting electric motors in them. That's what maybe you might call retro futurism. Okay? So you have an old Mercedes-Benz, you put electric motor in it. You even have an old car that doesn't have all these digital systems, and you put a digital dash in it. Is the car losing its relevance? Are you losing your job by being a mechanic who works on old cars? No, you are just failing to be innovative in your ways, and you are losing out by not staying in the curve. So we really have to calm down and rather calm our minds and focus on how can we actually pick on the old things and innovate on them to still give them value. Because once human beings liked it, they can still like it in a different form. We still like each other as people. We haven't changed. I've never seen any human being walking hairs down and legs up. No. But what has changed about that? We wear different clothes. Maybe we smell different. Maybe we bath 2 times a day. We use some different kinds of toothpaste. It's still the same thing with business and with industry. So how wide are we opening our eyes to see what works? There are different trends picking up all the time. All the time. Now, natural hair business is a big thing. Most women are going natural hair, cutting their hair. What kind of products are they using? How do you look into your environment and combine 1 and 2 things to create something that you like? And sometimes we look too far when we are looking at building products and building businesses. Mm-hmm. You are in a classroom of 50 people. You know how to bake. Every day could be almost someone's birthday. You do good cakes, your friends will buy it. They will love it. You live in a community, you have a small porch where your friends can come and hang out Friday evenings. Your sister knows how to grill chicken. You put something together. You make use of your own community within your own resources. That's a good way to start. So instead of being scared, how do we look around ourselves so that we can still be relevant to each other? Because the base all goes down to humanity. Even if we decide to make things redundant, it's our own decisions. We can convince ourselves, we don't even need policy, that look, if this AI thing is worrying us, I'm the CEO of a company. I call my friend Charlie, let's not make our guys use AI. For us, let's go traditional. Then it becomes a rolling stone that gathers all these kind of thoughts and opinions to create systems that will actually support our mandates as a people.
Will that business survive?
I think there's a
Thoughts? I saw a hand here, yes.
We are always in the food rush. And now with AI, everyone is going for AI. And we are not sitting back to think about the other stuff. Because there is also HI, human intelligence. There is EI, emotional intelligence. There is AI, ancestral intelligence. There are different ways that this thing can be. We just like to follow the trend instead of be the trend maker. Set trends. And our inability to set trends is the reason why we are pursuing every single thing. Who told us that Ghana is a developing country and Africa is a developing continent? Like, where did man even start from? Like, the place where the origin of man is traced to is called developing. We have been living life thousands of years before anything would spring up within you, and you call us developing. We have all these mineral resources and all that you are coming to extort every single day, and you call us developing. It is because we have a myopic view of ourselves. And if we don't change the narrative of this myopic view, economically you can call us like developing and stuff like that. But now it has now changed from our own standard to their own standard. Because now we are not measuring ourselves by them, instead of measuring ourselves by us. And if we don't change the way we think, and that's something, because they know it, that the moment you start to think different, they lose the resources they are getting from you. So there is a force behind that is also pushing you to continue to think the way you think. And then, I love what the lady said right here. She was, with the question she asked, that how do we change this whole thing where we have people that don't want to grow? I tell you, there's nobody that don't want to grow. Every single one wants to grow. Every single one wants to change. The work to do it is actually the thing. And there is another aspect of it, which is when people already think that they can't do anything, then it kind of makes them handicapped in the first place. So we need to understand that work is being done every day, and one of those work is this Times Group, the Times Talk Show. Right now, this kind of conversation happening right now is something that is touching one young person right now. I like this old story of, I don't know which company is it, I don't want to advertise any company. The thing is, this company went into Japan. They wanted to give Japan coffee. They brought coffee failed in Japan because Japanese did not have a coffee drinking culture. So they went back. They started from the young Japanese and started to sell coffee to them with coffee flavors and stuff like that. And in 30 years, now Japanese is a coffee drinking country. Why? Japan is a coffee drinking country. Why? Because the young people that they thought toffees to are now grown, and now they can relate it to something in their childhood. What we need to do is go back to our foundations. What are we teaching the young ones? What are we bringing to the table? I love the fact that I'm seeing those young ones sitting here right now, because we need to get them in the room. We need to get them into the
this discussion. And the last time I came here, I told you that I took my daughter out of school. Because your school is like you're selling us BS. let's do something different. The whole setting, the whole structure, it's not working for us. We need to like change the way we kind of like envision this stuff. And it has to do with you. You need to be able to like go back to somebody talked about scientists and they said that Europeans are scientists. Well, you don't have scientists. Like, where do you think that Agbo came from? Where do you think that we have had scientists from this memorial, and if you actually go down to tap into history, and I love the fact that one of our speakers tapped into some deep aspect that made it look Pan-Africanist in a way. But the fact is that it is Pan-Africanist because we have lost our roots. If we have been able to like hold on to our roots and know our own history, we would have known that we had people like Imhotep. From like most of the brains that the Europeans came to learn from, that their so-called philosophers and others actually learned from, are from Africa. God.
I mean, share your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Emerging opportunities, is it a thing? Or is it with us and our mindset? Your thoughts. You haven't spoken.
Yeah, I haven't spoken. I mean, I was just trying to soak in everything that was going on from the beginning. And I appreciate the panelists for the insights that they shared. I think my key takeaway, and I'll link it to the fact that you should be aware of emergent trends, but it shouldn't sort of sway you. And I would just want to tie that to what one of the panelists said about in fact, all of them have alluded to that, the value that you are bringing. You know, if you are so confident in the value that you are bringing on the table, you really don't care what is going on. You just be comfortable with how to innovate in what the value you have and make sure that that value does not die. So, for me, I would say that as a young person, don't be so much fixated on what is the next big thing and how can I develop maybe skills in that. What are you good at? When I was going to senior high school, I did visual arts. When I was at the university, I did political science and humanities arts. Now I'm working with the government. Like when I look back, my path has not been straight. But that is because at every stage, I just try to identify what am I good at, and is it because probably everybody is saying it's a good thing, so I should do it, or it's something that I really have interest and passion in. So to the young people in their room, what I would like to say is that just stick to that. First of all, what is it that you really want to do? Our first panelist said everybody said you should go and be a lawyer, but after going to intern there, he realized that's not his field. So you are in, let's say, info studies class. Is that what you really want to do? If that's not what you want to do, discover what you want to do, and then develop a value for it. You see that people would start noticing you in that regard, and not necessarily you just always switching. Because if you are also staying up with emerging trends, you really become jack of all trades and master of none. Be known for something, and let that thing speak for you. Let that thing open doors for you. And so that is like the little that I would want to add to the conversation.
Thank you. Can she speak? Yes.
I think I'll agree to disagree with what she just said. Mainly because we've talked about evolution.
Right.
Even we as human beings, when we look back into science, although there have been some mishaps or let's say controversies around that theory, they say we started as monkeys and then we evolved to become human beings. So you might be very good at something, but then as time progresses, you realize that AI is here. How do you ensure that you know more about AI to upgrade yourself in that thing that you are good at? So you don't just say, oh, I'm just good at singing, so I'll stay over there. Now AI is also, producing music. So how do I ensure that in addition to that talent that I have, I use it to, enhance it, to make it better? And then also in terms of the pushback, I've held a few workshops I'm with UNICEF currently, so I've held a few workshops regarding education and then AI. And one thing I realized is young people are really excited about AI, but when it comes to the teachers, they are pushing back like their lives depend on it.
Right.
Now, the reason is because they are not involved in these conversations. Aside that, they do not understand how to use it. And so, imagine a young person in the classroom being very comfortable with using AI and the teacher not being comfortable with it. Obviously, they feel intimidated, right? So, how do we ensure that these teachers that are going to teach our young ones are in rooms, or we position them in places where they can actually evolve, build on the skills that they already have, and then utilize this AI to push our young people so that we are not left behind again. The digital divide was there. Now there's something also called the cognitive divide.
Right.
When we pick a young person here, let's say schooling in a private education system, and then you pick a young person in the public education system, I bet you when you give them a laptop, one will definitely know how to better utilize that tool as compared to the other. And this is what sets us apart when it comes to the job market. So as we talk about value, let's put all of these things into perspective and see the need for us to upgrade ourselves as the world moves forward, so that we are not always the people who are tagged as developing.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Pastor.
Yeah, so I agree, but then I also have something else to add to that. So I don't think it's just the fact that teachers or the older generation don't understand AI, and that's why they're pushing back. Because I think a lot of the young people embracing AI so quickly are not all of them, but like a lot of them are too lazy to do the work, and so they are making AI do all the work for them, and that's why the older generation seems to be pushing back so hard. And that leads back to what him and then someone else said about the fact that we like to chase the latest trend. It's like as soon as it comes, we just go for it, and then there's no sense of responsibility to monitor and make sure that we're using it responsibly, because AI is a very powerful tool, and with great power comes responsibility. So I think in embracing AI in our lives, I don't think we should just push it back, and I don't think we should just accept it either. I think in accepting it, we should make sure that we are using it responsibly and limiting it, so that we're not giving all the power to AI. We're not just sitting back and then letting AI do all the work for us. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let him say something. Yes, to you.
So, with the concept of emerging trends when it comes to the job market, personally, I think it's more of the the person has to do with your background, and also the person has to do with your background, where you're coming from, the ideology your parents, your society has of the job space, and also personal initiative. Because let me use myself for instance. In the maritime space,
Right.
marine engineering, but most of the things that I do around is slightly far from marine engineering, for example. So when I try to talk to people about concepts, I'm usually into maritime energy space. I talk to people about understanding SDGs, ESG, and things that are happening to AI in the space. They see like it's not relevant to you. But that's where the second factor comes in, that it has to do with your personal initiative.
Yeah.
If you want to make a change in a space, it might be maybe entertainment, might be sports, might be arts, philosophy, or something. You have to be willing to make an initiative to change that narrative. And you have to start it from yourself. Like, you have to start it building on your own. Because other people will not see it until you yourself bring it to life. So when it comes to your job and everything, you have to start it with yourself. That's what I can say.
Right. Thank you. Then to you, Joe.
So I actually think we continuously talk about job. And that's where the fear comes from. Because you are like, okay, if you lose your job, stuff like that. We're not talking purpose. We need to talk to people about purpose. What is that thing that is bigger than life that you want to do? That even if you don't get paid for it, you put in your life. Like that is what we should be talking to people about, not jobs. Because the thing here is that all of us are looking for security within the job. And the thing here is the people the life we are living is not built in a job. People created the life because they pursued purpose. Let's talk about purpose and leave job alone. She said, jack of all trades, master of none. But we need to remember that probably didn't end yet. They say it is better than the master of one. And we need to understand that too. So there are a lot of things like this that we shouldn't just take it up big. We need to go down to the roots. Let's go down to the root and be like, oh yes, we will keep pursuing this thing up and down.
Yeah. Okay.
Joe,
Thank you very much. In the context of emerging trends of job markets, we are talking much about livelihood and survival.
Right.
You know? At certain point of independence, you need money. No matter how sharp your purpose is or how clear your vision is, you have to eat. You need to wear shoes. You need to wash your clothes. You need to, go somewhere. You need to, drink water. All of that, and it's about money. The reason why Africa keeps moving along chasing trends or playing catch up is because we hear big money. Recently, Beatrice was telling me a young man had a grant of, I think, $1 million or something on climate change. And I just had a call this morning from one of my guys like, hey, Charlie, now we are all going for this climate change thing because there's money there. And that's the trend, because you watch devs in Africa, there are open calls from MasterCard, from here, so Charlie, the beginning of the year, they know open calls around September. They spend all their time building stuff that align to sustainable development goals. I've sat on a lot of panels reviewing some of these applications. You get 200,000 concepts, and all of them are good.
Yeah.
But I end up giving money to 5. So what are the rest of these guys going to do?
Yeah.
So they have to starve again, and they come in again. I know people have been doing this for 10 years.
Facts.
Rather than focusing on the moving averages, what makes something emerging is disruptive, is an innovation. To turn it into an industry is determined by the moving averages of the demand and supply forces.
Right.
What is the consumer excited about? We are here. Most of us we have Netflix subscriptions, correct? We have YouTube Music. We have, what else? Apple Music. We are consuming all of this. But the African innovator is focused on SGDs rather than looking at how can I divert consumer attention to my product to make some money. It's an issue that we need to face, that we really have to learn how to starve if we want to cross this bridge. And no one wants to starve. I've sat in meetings. It's all nice talk. Hey, we are going for Africa. Everyone goes home and they are waiting for that email from this, that email from that. And sometimes to catch on or stay on emerging trends, we need to learn to do something different. Like Madam said, if you have a startup and maybe you are building, let's say, an EdTech app, you don't have any grants, you are bootstrapping with your little allowances or whatever. If you know how to cook the watch and sell it and make money. Rather than to spend all your time chasing grants that you never get to. So we should focus more on what is driving the market. What are the consumer demands? What are the market demands? Study the markets very well. And we don't always have to build very huge projects. They are very niche projects that you can build and just serve about 200 people, make some good money and go home. Those are the things that we should focus on as emerging. And we need to redefine some of the things that we use. Like we call things industry. It's not yet an industry yet until there's institutional support, until there is some policy or strategy that is coming from the government or some strong body that is governing your processes and your activities. And by governing, not just restricting, but also regulating and supporting, then we can call things industry. There are certain things that are just science projects. We shouldn't call them innovations because it's fancy and nice in the lab, but in real life, it doesn't work. We've seen so much of them. So by redefining these contexts, we can then see what we can label as emerging, what we can label as industry, what we can label as practical, and that will drive our survival and our growth. Thank you.
Any new hand?
I'll say something very
Okay,
quick.
sure, call me.
So I just wanted to touch very quickly on what he said. There are two sides to what he said. The danger there is that on one hand, because of the chaos in the system, you would want to, in a sense, take advantage of the system for your own good. And that's what a lot of people are doing now. Yeah. So with what he said, I'm sure some lady will say that, oh, okay, I have palm oil, but I'm going to add Sudan 4 dye to it to make it look more red and get more people to buy and make my money and I'm okay. Right? That's one of the dangers. Another one would be, I think that a lot of women like the synthetic hair. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all of those hairs, bring it here and let them buy, and I'll make my money, and whatever happens to them, that's their problem, right? But the side I want us to focus on is that because we have a certain humanity in us, right, we should be able to do things very differently from the way the world is doing it. So if Africans are saying it's natural hair that we are going to move towards, how do we do that, right? What natural materials can we use to do that, right? If the world is pushing sugary drinks, right, are we producing drinks that will ensure that our kids and us stay healthy, right? If the world is pushing GMO products, for example, are we producing organic food that is ensuring that sustenance, health, and all of those things are intact? Because if you do not have the body, you cannot do anything else, right? So those are some of the things I think we need to focus on to show the world how we can do those things differently.
Thank you. I want us to branch a bit into opportunities that we can take advantage of whilst the train is moving. I think that we have spoken about a bit of purpose, about introspectively looking within and knowing what we can best bring value out of. Applying that to the marketplace. That's a lot of things to think about as an individual. I mean, in this short period, right? But I'm hoping that we can walk away carrying along something that we can apply ourselves to. So looking within, looking around, looking beyond, what are some of the opportunities that we can jump on, apply ourselves to? Do we have something we can prescribe? Or do we still stick with know thyself? What is the approach? I believe that we cannot fully prescribe a one way for anybody. But then I believe other people would want to ask questions about what the train looks like. Which direction is it going? What train is it even? Let's discuss that for the next few minutes.
Okay, I think I'll go. With just my observing the wind and where it's blowing, I think two areas. Okay, no, the umbrella body would be content creation, okay, right? But specifically, that has to do with advocacy and activism, right? Why am I saying that? I'm just, having the conversation. I've realized that we are complaining about a lot, right? About how the country has to be this and how the continent has to be that and how the politicians have to do this and I have to do that. And I think that it begins with us spotlighting those problems. Because sometimes the people at the top, they are so comfortable, they don't care. So I'm sure a lot of us pay attention to the skits that a lot of these Nigerians are putting out. There's one that I've come to love, absolutely. His name is Kelvin Black Comedy. He's Nigerian. He calls himself Governor Amuneke. I don't even know if you have seen that. Yeah? So he's creatively putting out content that is spotlighting how Nigerian politicians behave. So they go out there behaving to, develop the country as it is. And there's always somebody, a camera guy following them. And then he finishes and says, do the edits. And it shows that what he puts out there on TV and on the media outlets is a lie. The reality and what he's putting out there in the media, total opposites, right? So one of the things I think young people can begin to do, like right now, content creation, right? There's an idea came to mind when I was like taking a shower today. When you're taking hot showers, things come to mind. And the theme would be the Ghana that we want to see, right? So 2 or 3 people can come together and say, okay, we are focusing on education. Another will focus on maybe finance. Another will focus on health. Another will focus on maybe infrastructure, right? And then you creatively put out content that speaks to those issues. So find a way to ensure that people like entertaining content now, right? But there's a way you can come up with content that speaks to the problem, that is funny and entertaining, but there's still a good message in there, right? So with regards to the whole conversation around the change in mindset, right? If we can come together in clusters to say that, okay, the Ghana we want in education, what's happening in the education space that's ensuring that we are going to birth a new generation of, critical thinkers, competent, capable, empathetic, patriotic, learners, right? What's happening? So the question is, what's happening now? Right? How are teachers delivering on education that's putting us in a position where when we come out of school, we cannot create anything. We only have a certificate. Is there a way you can create content around that to bring the people who are at the policy level to begin to pay attention? Is there a way you can get all of us to look at it and go like, but what's happening here? This is terrible. It has to change. The same for their Greek space, the same for the health space. I'm sure you guys heard about the Ralph issue. Somebody went to attack some nurses because the nurses didn't attend to his patients. All of those things. How do we create content around that, leveraging on the platforms available to us, put it out there to get a certain engagement, to get us to that consensus, to where some change will happen? Ideas.
Now, Kwame, you have to collaborate with us on that because we also want to be documenting problems.
Yes, please. Yes.
Dr. Mefa.
Okay. I agree with content creation. The bit I may not really support fully is to only document our problems.
Yeah.
Let's document the positives we have, not in diverse ways. Digital hubs, the social media skates, the memes, and then my addition to that will be to host these sets of data on the African continent to direct internet traffic to our continent. That is also a money-making avenue for us. Currently, most of the content we have are saved on foreign apps, like my brother here said. So when you check the internet traffic of the world, less traffic comes to Africa, we travel there more. So we pay more for data. And foreign tech companies are making a lot of money from us. I shared with him this morning, earlier when we came here before the program started, had the chance of going to Medina Market to interview the market women on how they use their smart devices. Woman told me, when she said it in Tree, on a good day, she could buy data of about 300 Ghana cedis and watch TikTok.
That's good. That's interesting.
Yeah. Paying, that is saving into someone's account. So we should create content about knowledge of the things we have. And I have said at other places that Africa is going to be the next place where people will visit this place to know about humanity, how to live, which is a challenge in when I was given birth. One of the things I read is that the way Africans birth their children gives it helps the muscles of the children, but this is not properly documented. So can we have videos of how to mothers, or not only mothers, now fathers or we are supposed to take care of little babies. So when you see us, our limbs are a bit different from the limbs of most people from other continents. And there is a science in it. So these are the things we need to document and let our people teach us. And then you see people who visit this place to come and know about who we are, what sort of knowledge we have. And that's also an industry, that we can take hold of. Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph, emerging opportunities.
Thank you very much. It's fun to see a lot of content And I always ask myself, how far can you scroll? But then, in the context of looking at Africa as a developing, no, as an increasing, with this increasing youthful population, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure on social amenities. High population needs a lot of infrastructure. And I'm talking about physical infrastructure. I'm talking about roads. I'm talking about buildings. Let's say that's even high end. Let's come to the basics. Clothing, food, shoes, haircut. All these are TVET, technical vocational things that I believe every African youth should have at least an additional TVET skill. In addition to their content creation, in addition to what you learn in school, at least you should have plumbing. You should know some basic electricals, some basic mechanics. Because our increasing population comes with a lot of purchases, a lot of maintenance. And you realize that most of our foreign counterparts, when they come here, those are the services they give us, and they take away so much money.
Yeah.
How are you looking at competing with the KFCs? Trust me, no one fries chicken better than my sister. I find it difficult eating KFC chicken. We need to reintroduce our own style of doing things. We need to realign our taste buds to our foods. Now, my nieces don't even want to eat home food because they've acquired this taste for fast food, and it's dangerous. But through TVET, if I live here and on the block there's someone selling fried yam and fish like it used to be in the evenings back in the days, chofi, kelewele, we don't find that anymore. Bread and egg, we don't find that anymore, and it's dying. And who are consuming these industries is foreign nationals. But with TVET, we can bring these things back. Without TVET, there's a lot of wastage happening in the system. The least thing, oh, my chair is broken, throw it away, go to China Mobile, buy another one. Yeah. Now you don't even have a carpenter in the area who comes to fix your stuff anymore. And we are becoming a wasteful society, wasting money that we can save and reinvest into other things. So I believe TVET is the future. In addition to everything else that we are doing, at least one skill per young person, TVET. That you go out there on weekends, you use your time purposefully, do something. It could even be your auntie. Hey, auntie, I saw, you can even go and break it and take money and fix it again. Oh, auntie, I saw this, and can I, just get some small change? And with that, we can start by reintroducing some of our cultural and social narratives to ourselves whilst we are making some money. Thank you.
Please, can we give it up to our panel? Any thoughts in the room? Agree, disagree, share new thoughts? Yes.
Great. What I want to add is the emerging opportunities. He spoke about wastage, and it's also something I've been thinking about. For instance, sometimes you have a shoe, and then it's just a little something that is wrong with the shoe. You don't know whether to throw it away to go and look for shoemaker. I don't know, these days finding shoemaker sometimes it's difficult.
Yeah.
So it means you need to throw it away. And I'm asking myself, maybe somebody could have remodeled this. An opportunity for me is, let's think about, can we have, if it's not a charity, maybe a collection point where you can go and put some of these things, maybe a clothing that is slightly torn, that can be worked on, that can be reused in a very sustainable way. So for me, I think that is an opportunity that we can look at. And then a bit about we acquiring foreign taste. About 2 weeks ago, we had a delegation from Armenia. And then when they came, as part of trying to understand how their experience in Ghana has been, one of them made a very comment that I hadn't even thought about. It was like, Esther, your chicken tastes very different. And then I was like, don't be diplomatic, just be honest. And then he was like, you see, the way local chicken tastes, it's like you people have a certain taste of chicken, it's very fluffy. And I'm like, okay, that's possibly because most of the chicken we are eating are imported. But that really got me thinking, because I was like a foreigner has been able to identify this, but I'm sure amongst us, we don't even know what the difference between a local chicken is and then what foreign chicken is. And again, that is because we are beginning to like acquire like foreign taste, which is also an emerging opportunity that we can look at if we really want to promote our own things. And then finally, one thing I want to say before I hand the mic over, the Indomie industry. You know, growing up, I used to see tea joints, so like bread and egg, and then Milo, the cocoa drink. Those were the things you see at night with the Kelly William. But these days, it's just Indomie. And then I read a little about Indomie. Apparently, it's from Indonesia. Now we produce some in Ghana and Nigeria, but those are like how do I call it? So it's like a foreign company, and then you have people a franchise. Thank you. But like 10 years ago, it wasn't a thing. I'm sure if you should look at the gains that Indomie is making, I mean that's like it has become like a whole economy, like Indomie economy. Everywhere you go at night, either you see an Indomie joint or you see a spaghetti joint. And I'm asking myself, like, these are things that are staples in other places. How can we also think about doing something that is like in tune with the local things that we grow? And that's why I would like to tie in with what one of our panelists said about the fact that the change that we desire, it sits with us. So in as much as we are identifying all these problems, like me myself, like thinking about all these problems, we need to think about how it can stand, like those things can start with us. What can we do in our own small way? And again, I'll say that again is a value that you are bringing on board. So start, look within. What are you good at? How can you add that value? Not just jumping from train to train, but how can you enhance that?
Yeah, thank you.
And I mean, just to jump to what you said, both of you said very quickly. And have you noticed that when we are starting businesses, we are thinking of something very small. So if we want to sell provisions, like they call it, it's always like a corner shop. We want to do like a corner shop. But a Chinese comes to Africa and says, I want to open a mall.
Right.
And then they open a mall, right? So the thing I want to stress on with that is, so the Indomie joints, the tea joints, all of those things, is that if you are focused on building a country, right? Focused on building a continent, coming together is easy. Collaboration is very easy. Strategy is easy. But then it's because we have that mindset now where you were saying something about the chicken and saying that it's somebody outside of the continent said it's fluffy. You'd be surprised that there are people here who rear their own chickens and they don't have any business to do with you. And that's the culture we are perpetuating that is very dangerous. So it's like, let me be able to have my money and then take care of myself and my family. That selfish mentality is becoming very ingrained in Ghanaian culture. It's terrible. It's becoming very, very terrible, right? So, in a sense, what I want to say is that collective consciousness, that idea that we are trying to build a certain country. Indomie, by the way, is terrible food. Like, let's not mince words. It's terrible food, you know. So, why is somebody profiting off the health of Ghanaians or people on the continent with very terrible food? Even the oils, seed oils, terrible. We've thrown away coconut oil and palm oil because somebody has come to tell us that it's not great. But the seed oils that we eat on a daily, terrible. You know? So it's like, and it comes back to the point. It's like, there has to be a certain shift in our mindsets. Right? That's why I'm like, just based on what I'm seeing and how I think change is realistically going to happen, is the reason I'm like obsessed with the content creation, because that's one of the quickest way to get people's attention. You know, because there was one I saw yesterday, and the fact that, so they put this whole bucket and it was like, this is the blood in your body. And the amount of sugar that's supposed to be in your blood, this bucket, is just a cube. Now imagine the food that you're eating every day. You know, then they started pouring the amount of sugar in there. And this was a white man. You know, so it's like, we have to get back to who we are. And then once that is sorted out, we begin to shoot out. Because people are taking advantage of us on a daily. Can you imagine us sitting down here as locals, saying that we have a taste for foreign products? A poor country of 31 million people. You have a taste for foreign products. We have a country to build. Of everything that we've said over here, like, I need all of us to have it ingrained in our minds that we have a country to build. It is you and I, and that we have to be intentional about making sure that we bring a certain value and contribute to the building of the country. There's something you said about the political parties, etc. All of the guys that you're seeing making noise about Akwetia elections, etc., and all of those things, you can be a player who speaks to something that has to change in our country, and you'll be recognized for a long time the day you die. Just by advocating. See what Woody Meyer is doing. Woody Meyer is pretty much just showcasing different countries on the continent for you to see that it's not as different as where you are. And sometimes, in some cases, it's even better than where you are. But why are you not visiting? Do you see? So it's the reason I'm like obsessed about this content creation thing. Let's make noise about what's happening on the continent because people want to find out what's happening here.
Okay.
Final words at MFA.
Jacqueline, I want you to host a show on the consumption patterns of Ghanaian youth.
Okay.
And I'll be more than glad to be on that show.
Right.
It is, if we want to develop, we must change our consumption tastes. Whether consumables or wearables, everything.
Right.
A close family member is an IT specialist, and he keeps telling me, why is it that within 6 months, companies are releasing new, they themselves don't buy that much. If you have this model and you want the latest, you take it for exchange. But here, what do we have to do? Thank you. Again, it's a way of making a lot of money from us. The rice we eat in Ghana, how many of us young people can eat Ghana rice? Because our taste buds are used to the imported rice, and it is intentional. If you go deep down, only a few people are benefiting from that industry, and therefore they wouldn't want us to stop it. So let's have a conversation. Let's start. And if we own the things we want to use in this country, the money will remain here. People will come and use them with us, and our country will develop. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You see, the thing here is that the Time Talk show right now, it is, you walk in here, it is the way everything is said. It is, see, you need to see every single thing Jacqueline does. There's a level of charisma. Okay, I go and check Josh Sisley's page, Instagram page, and see it's black and white. But you will see the problem with our so-called entrepreneurs or whoever that is the fact that we don't know how to psych the psychology of our people. And these people understand the psychology of our people. That's why they are getting us to buy all this trash. Because they understand. They make it look beautiful. And because they make it beautiful, we buy. If we want to do stuff, we need to go into that particular psychological aspect. We need to be able to tell our story in a way that the child we want to become it. We have the story of Shango, all this Yoruba methodology, or what you call it, and all of this. And we're not selling our story. Now they take our story and resell it to us as Thor, as Captain Marvel, and Captain whatever. And we're buying into these things because we are not taking these things and putting so much value in it and giving it light, giving it charisma, giving it, like that is the thing that people are buying. This is what we need to work on, the psychology of our people. Understand it. If we can understand it as leaders, then we can buy our people into the right space.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for everyone. Thank you. Today has been another unique and distinct conversation. Divergent opinions of what works, what doesn't work, or what the future looks like, or what the present looks like. It has been me delving into what's the train of opportunities look like going forward. What's the emerging opportunities even look like? And we asked, is it with us as individuals, as Africans? I wasn't expecting that twist. Or is it with industries? What works, what doesn't work? We are happy to continue the conversation online or in other spaces. We want to encourage more young people to ask the right questions. We want you to ask what the future even looks like. Is there a future? Are we creating it? Or are we catching and discovering it as we go? This is a Times Talk Show, the 4th episode of the 1st season. My name is Jacqueline Sarkodo, your host. Meet you at the next season. Thank you.